All right, you guys, I'm going to pick up where this last video left off. First thing, I'm going to just get all our custom blocks and just toss them. They still exist, but we just don't need to use them yet. Okay, so we're going to say when we start this program, we set up all of our variables. So I'm just going to bring in a bunch of sets. Now I'm going to use exponential growth to, boom, cover all my sets. Okay. So first thing, let's set number of wins to 0. Let's set number of losses to 0. Okay. Then we're going to set one more, the word dictionary. Those three are only going to get set up once, right? Those are never going to get reset. So after you keep replaying and replaying, you might be at 3 wins. We never want to reset that unless they completely shut our program down and open it back up. Okay. And then inside the actual game, for each single game, we will say, you know what? We need to set our remaining guesses up. We need to set our letters already guessed up. We need to set our current word answer, and we need to set our hangman word answer. Okay, so current or number of wins 0, number of losses 0, word dictionary, that's all of our answer words. So maybe I'm gonna do piano and audio. And I don't know, let's do some other weird ones. How about jazz? How about awkward? That's an awkward word. Okay, and let's do one more long one. How about apocalypse? Man, I'm terrible at spelling. That sounds good. Sure. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set up a loop. Okay, and here is, let's just do a forever loop here. Okay, so these only get set up once. I'm going to write that here. Okay, so leave a good comment there, only setting these variables up once and then never changing them. Whereas these variables need to get reset every single time we play a new game, right? And the big idea here is we're keeping track of wins and losses, so we want people to be able to play multiple times as we do that. Okay, so I'm going to spread that out a little bit. So number remaining guesses, I don't know, whatever number you want. Let's go with 7. Okay, letters already guessed. Well, when we start the game, we will have not guessed any letters. Okay. And then current word answer, that's where we're going to use our custom block. So this is kind of like a 3-step process. So first thing is we need to pick an item from our word dictionary, okay? So which item? Well, we need to pick a random one. However, in other languages, a lot of times they don't have that random element of list. That's not a built-in thing. So instead, let's do it ourselves. So we want to pick a random number. That's the slot number. Right? And the random number will start at 1 and go to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the length is 5 and the last slot is 5. So what I want to do is I want to pick a random element that's either number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. And that's the length of the list. Okay. So here's the random number we're going to choose out of here. When I put it into here, boom. Now it's a random slot. So, right, this was, oh, I never set this up. So let's do that once. Okay, so now word dictionary has a value. So pick a random number. It's between 1 and 5. Wow, that was a lot of 4s. No 2s yet? Come on, 2. There we go. Now I put it in here. Now it'll be a random word. Right, so now we're picking a random word from the word dictionary. Again, you could have just done the automatic pick random. That also works. It does the exact same thing. However, we're going to do it this way because this is how you do it in a lot of other languages. All right, and then finally we need to split that up. So I'm going to go to green and get our split word into list of letters. Remember that if I do add, it splits it into a list of ADD. Now I'm just going to take this word that's a random word and split it up. And now I get a random list of letters from our word dictionary, exactly what we wanted. That's what we set our current word answer to. You could absolutely do that in separate steps. Maybe that was too much to do all at once. And now the Hangman word being guessed, we're going to have to build this ourselves, right? So we want it to be a list of asterisks the same length as current word. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it as an empty list. And then I'm going to create a quick loop, and I'm just going to go to repeat some number of times. And I'm going to add asterisks to the list. So there we go. So what list do I want to add to? I want to add to Hangman word being guessed. So I'm going to start it as empty, and I'm just going to throw in a bunch of stars. How many stars? Not 10. I don't want to hard code it. Instead, I'll just check. What is the length of current word answer? That's how many stars. So now I'm just going to double check. This is why we will hide all these variables later, or most of them. But now let's just double check. So this is, oh, it's in a forever loop. Let's stop that. Let's put a little wait time in here just so we can see. So let's wait like 3 seconds. So it sets everything up. So length of 5 stars and piano 5 stars. Boom. 3 seconds pass. Now it's jazz and 4 blanks. Apocalypse is 10 and 10, 5 and 5. Nice. Everything is working out. So I'm going to stop my program. So I've set up all these variables. So these variables get set up every time we play a new game. And now we just start a game. So here is play a single game, right? This loop keeps going until you win or lose. So repeat until. I'm going to put a little or in there. So one of these will be when we win, and one will be when we lose. Okay. Now, what do we want to do inside there? I'm going to spread this out a little bit. Okay. So, or we could figure out this, how to check if we win or how to check if we lose, right? So, the losing is really easy. We have a number of guesses, and when that runs out, we lose. So we can say, since I wrote win or lose, I'll put the lose in the second slot, but it doesn't matter. Okay. Number of remaining guesses. When that gets less than, so you could say less than 1, but that means 0 dies. Or you could say less than 0. So that way 0 is your last chance. Totally up to you. I'll say 0. So 1 guess remaining means you get a guess, and then 0, you have 0 left, but you're still alive, and then you die. That's the way I interpret it. Now we need to deal with how to win. Now there's a lot of ways to do this. In Snap, you can simply just check, are these two equal? This is something to very much be careful with in other languages, how you check equality. This equal sign really only works with primitives, meaning like integers, floats, single characters, but string, we don't use an equal sign in most languages because they're not primitive data types. In Snap, this does work. However, more reliably is, let's just look at the Hangman word, right? So there's a list of stars, and as you guess them, it will end up looking like this. And so when do we know we finished the game? That's when all of these stars have been turned into letters. So another way to check if we're done is to check, and I'm using my custom block, is there an asterisk left in this? If there is, then the game's still going. So when you win, there will not be any stars left. So when you win the game, this will be false. You've now guessed every single star. So is there a star in the list? No, because you've won. So 2 ways to do that. One way is to say you win when this equals false. That's saying when all of the stars are gone. So when is there a star left in the Hangman word is false. Have we won yet? No, we haven't won yet. But another way of saying is a Boolean equal to false, that simply means the opposite of the Boolean. So this exact same expression could be written as when not is there a star in the list. So that's another way to check. Now, you could also just use equals. Is current word answer equal to Hangman word? I'm going to avoid that because in other languages, that's not going to work. Okay, so we've started a loop. This loop keeps going till you win or lose. This is a single game, right? This loop is a single game. All right, so what do we do inside the single game as it keeps repeating? Well, the things we do is we ask, we say, what letter do you want to guess? Right? And there's only 3 possibilities, and they're 3 separate possibilities. We don't want people to be able to guess or have any 2 run at the same time. So I'm going to put them in if else, if else. So this means if the first one happens, none of these in the else happens. If the second one happens, that means the first one did not. And now, because this one happened, the else won't down here. And if neither of the first 2 happen, then every time we know it's this third one. Now, I'm going to put just some say blocks in here first, so we can differentiate between them. Well, there's 3 possibilities, either right, wrong, or already guessed. Okay, we don't want to check if it's right first because it might have already been guessed. We don't want to check if it's wrong first because it might have already been guessed. So the very first thing we would check is, you already guessed that letter, silly. Okay, so if you already guessed it, no penalty. Just say you already guessed it and let them try again. This is a hard game. Okay, whereas if it's not an already guessed letter, now you're dealing with right or wrong. So you could just put correct or wrong. Oh, unhappy face. Okay, so now we actually have to put in the code. So what does it mean, or what can we check to see if you've already guessed that letter? Well, we have a list of letters that has already been guessed, right? And so once they guess a letter, we'll simply say, well, did you already guess that? And that's why we have this custom block, right? So is the letter they just guessed inside of the letters already guessed? If it is, say you already guessed it, and boom, right back to here. Done. Okay. Now, other than that, all we need is the right or wrong, right? So we'll do the same thing. Okay. So if it's not already guessed, either it's right or wrong. So simply is the answer letter the letter they guessed in, and now we're not searching in letters already guessed. Where's our answer key that has all the letters? That's the variable current word answer. That's the split up, correct all of the letters. So we'll go over here and we'll say, whoops, say scroll up, current word answer. There's the answer. So if the letter is in the answer, then say yes. And if not, say wrong. Okay, so at least that's working. So now I can see if it's jazz. Okay, I'm going to put it off to the side, and then I'm going to guess J. It should say correct. Okay, and then I'm going to say A, correct. I'm going to say P, and it should be wrong. And then if I say K, it should be wrong. Okay, but here's the problem. If I say J, it still says correct. It doesn't say already guessed. And that's because our letters already guessed is still empty. We never added anything to it. So what we want to do is say, okay, so is the letter already guessed? No, right? We just guessed J. It's the first time we've ever guessed it, so it's not already guessed. So then as soon as we hit into the else, we want to add that letter, right? We want to say, well, that's a new guess, so put it in the letters already guessed, right? So now, just with that, I can go, okay, is A in there? Yes, it is. But now notice that in letters already guessed right here, there's an A because I added it in when it was a new guess. And ready? A again. Oh, you already guessed that. And now it doesn't get added to letters already guessed because it's already in there, okay? All right, so I'm going to put a couple comments here so you're following along, right? So here's ask for a guess, and then I like minimizing these so we have room for every single block. And this will be, whoops, let me put it on this whole is. So this will be if letter was already guessed, do nothing and ask for a new letter, right? So there's no penalty here. It just skips everything, right? Now here, before we get to right or wrong, we know that this is a new letter, and that's because we got to the else. So add this new guess to the letters already guessed list, right? So that's the very first thing we do. As soon as we go, oh my gosh, this is a new guess, so then add it. Okay, so now if it's a correct word, do something, and if it's a wrong word, do something. Well, the wrong's really easy, right? If it's a wrong guess, simply change the letters already guessed. Well, not letters already guessed, number of remaining guesses, I meant. Change their number of remaining guesses by -1, right? So now wrong guesses are going down, okay? And then we'll have to have some way to give a message. So once this is over, maybe put a quick little like if else here at the bottom, because the loop will end, but then we don't have anything after. So right down here, we'll just say, okay, well, this was the win. Otherwise, they lost. Those are the only two ways this ends, right? Is you won or you lost. So I'm going to just really quickly say, you won. And then I'll duplicate this and say, you lost. Okay, now if the person loses, part of the rubric is you should show them the word. So you lost, and I'll just go like this. You can go, you lost. Actually, let's do it even easier. You lost. The word was, and then dun dun dun. They have to wait for 2 seconds to see it. And then what is it? Whoops. You can just put in, like this is just the super easy version. You can just put in the current word answer there, right? So now I should be able to lose. So I'm going to hide all these, okay? Oh my gosh, they can't see anything. They have no idea what the word is. Ooh, and I'm not even going to show them anything right now. I'm just going to guess wrong. I'm guessing a 1, then a 2. I'm guessing numbers. Now notice if I guess 2 again, you already guessed that. So I'm going to keep guessing different numbers. 3 is wrong. 4 is wrong. No numbers are in the word. I keep guessing wrong. Oh no. And after enough wrong guesses, which I think is 1 or 2 more. I think 1 more I have left. Okay, and now, oh no, I lost. The word was jazz. Oh, I was so close. I guessed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I was really close. Okay, so there's the basic gameplay of losing. Okay, now the idea for winning is every time they get something correct, we need to actually update the word. And that's why we have our replace block, right? So if they got it right, then just replace it, right? So replace asterisks in, and so I put my asterisk list there so that the hangman word being guessed with letter, and I put my answer there. Okay, that's the letter I'm searching for. And then that's in the current word list. So the current word answer is my 3rd slot. So that's why I was really clear about my titles. Okay, so now that should update. So all I want to do is maybe put a quick save block. I'm going to change this so there's some visuals in the next video. But for now, I'm just going to put a quick like the word is, and I'm going to do that for just 1 second. So it's really quick. And then I'll put another save block in here, and I'll just put the hangman word being guessed so they can see what it looks like. Okay, whoops, that was for number of seconds. Okay, ready, set? The word is 7 stars. Ooh, let's go with A. Yes, I got it right. And now it should have replaced, it did. I don't remember my own words. How do I not remember my own words? It's not apocalypse. Awkward. Okay, I had to cheat. But now I should be able to guess all the letters correct, the word is. And notice I didn't decrease the number of lies. So sometimes people make the mistake of when they get a right letter, the number of guesses remaining goes down. But then on a long word, you'll just die even if every guess was right. All right, ready? Last one, D. Correct. You win. Woohoo! And now the word is because it's a new game. We can put some messages in about restarting. So that's where I'm going to leave this video. I'll add a few comments after I pause the video. But in the end, all we're going to show is number of wins and number of losses up top. Now, there'll be a better way. You can do that with some UI, like write it somewhere. But for now, we'll just show those variables. And now we need to create some UI in the next video. There's lots of different ways to do this, but I'm going to stop right there. That's the main body of code. big idea is these 3 variables get set up once. These variables get set up for every game. And then we start a repeat loop for the game, which has 2 conditions to stop. Either you win as one condition, or you lose as the other condition. Then you simply display where they're at in the current word. I'll do this with UI later. But you'll display where they are and say, well, what's the next letter you want to guess? And there's 3 possibilities. Either it's already guessed, or it's correct, or it's wrong. And once that repeat is over, once that loop ends, that means they either won or they lost. So in the end, if they won, tell them something. And if they lost, tell them something. And then restart. You could ask them a question like if they want to replay, but just auto restarting is totally okay too. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that video. That was our most complex one yet.